So, Stolitz, Blitz, Stolitz. Well, Stolitz is absolutely fire right now, like in hell type of fire. Quite literally, in fact. Or rather, their relationship is on fire. A relationship riddled with flaws and faulty communication. So today, fellow minds, we ask why this relationship is on fire. How is it on fire, and who is the arsonist? So be comfortable even as we go through this fire-frenzied coupling here in mind. Even from the beginning, this relationship already incurred the greatest flaw a relationship could have: miscommunication. In the first place, when they first properly got acquainted with each other as children, it was all under false and forced pretenses. Stolitz was expecting a genuine friend, but Blitz was practically forced there and had actually planned to rob Stolitz with his father. Though this entire thing is actually foreshadowing, since during their little chat together as children, it seemed that there was actually something genuinely possible between them. Just like in present, where once again they are both under a great misunderstanding of each other, they again have another relationship. This time less friendly and more and both seem to actually have potential to genuinely develop things to a proper relationship. But again, they just don't get each other. Stolitz is in his fantasy ivory tower, dreaming and being semi-deluded, and Blitz with his prejudice of the Goetia and being somewhat offed by Stolitz being too sexual at times. So even though both sides might actually want to be something more, they are both blocked by their own perceptions of self and each other. And again, it could all be cured by simply mustering up the will to properly sit down and actually properly talk about each other's feelings. Not to mention that Blitz's romantic history is a mess of commitment issues. It is really no surprise why this relationship is literally in hell, chocked full of miscommunication, fantasy, prejudice, and commitment issues. And what did they do about it through the many months, and I think years if I'm not mistaken, of them going on about this relationship? When each actually developed feelings, they did practically
fuck all.
But given everything that we know, who is really to blame, if anyone at all? Who lit, or at least allowed, this relationship to catch on fire? Now, before I give you my analysis on who exactly really had their hand on unintentionally messing this up, and I do think it is unintentional, I want first to clarify that I will present both explanations on either Blitz or Stolitz. But I think mainly to blame, actually, is Stolitz. Now, why do I say this? Observe who really had the deciding power in this relationship. It's Stolitz that set up the entire thing. He called Blitz and set up their arrangement. He controls the grimoire, he is a Goetia, and he is the one that clearly caught feelings. If he actually properly tried to speak with Blitz to clarify his feelings early on in their relationship, maybe this relationship could have been salvaged, or had a higher chance of being salvaged. And don't use his subtle hinting on Blitz as an example that we saw in that one episode once. And it was totally understandable why in that episode, why Blitz thought it was just some sort of cheap trick to lure him in to have
passionate fornication.
Because before that, Stolitz has just been almost always this kinky, lustful aristocrat that basically hires Blitz as a practical prostitute. And that is why it came as no surprise to me that Blitz found it odd that Stolitz was genuine during episode 8 of season 2. Now, if Stolitz had sat Blitz down earlier, or at least had been more effective in actually communicating his feelings towards Blitz, many things could have been avoided. See my video on why I think Stolitz's approach during episode 8 was utterly flawed and risked a lot of things. And if in this hypothetical, Blitz still denies and insults him due to his own prejudice and commitment issues, then the rest would have been Blitz's fault entirely. Since at that point, in this hypothetical, it's just Blitz who is being irrational and utterly feeding into his own flaws. But that's not what happened. Stolitz was entirely capable of controlling the situation. He could have directly and properly communicated this to Blitz without this drawn-out, unclear way of communicating and him being blinded by the pleasure he could lose. Through his inaction, or ineffective action, and fear to actually address his feelings towards Blitz, he allowed the fire of destruction to spread and consume their relationship. While Blitz was in truth largely reasonably oblivious to what Stolitz actually intended. But I'm sure you all have different thoughts mayhaps. But these were my thoughts on the matter. What about your own thoughts? Do freely share them below. I would love to converse. What do you think the future of this relationship will be? How will this scene in the trailer come about? Stay tuned for my predictions on that, and may we indeed meet again soon. You are all always welcome here, fellow minds, within mine mind.